My name is Sheila Corona. Welcome back to Handbook for the New Paradigm. We are in Volume 3, Becoming. For those that are following along with me in the book, I'm on page 355, session number 40. Circumstances, situations, and events are perceived through sequential experience pattern of the earth plane through a reformatting of a greater experiential matrix. It compares somewhat to unraveling a knitted sweater into a long thread that only retains the individual kinks that made up the stitches. It is possible to ascertain what the sweater looked like from the pile of kinky yarn that is then seen. It is impossible. I think I said that. I hope I did. Thus, each event in the sequential chain of events is all that can be perceived of an existing prototype that is whole and complete. Once the experiential chain of sequential events has reached a completion point of its cycle, and a reality is experienced as complete, a perspective of the entire event can be glimpsed. However, it is only one perspective of a holographic whole. Oh my gosh, I'm being flashed so much in this moment, which is absolutely so because I may have labeled something in the heat of the moment one way. And once it has been experienced in its whole, in the fullness of time, it can be glimpsed in its entirety. And I've actually seen where I've mislabeled things, right? However, it is only one perspective of a holographic whole. The concept of time that is the basis for perceiving sequential events exists and is experienced differently within each level of manifested reality. With the ability to perceive a greater and greater perspective of a whole, the importance of minute by minute time calculation becomes less relevant. What becomes important is the encompassing process that contains the situation or event as it is completed into a whole experience. It is like watching the sweater being knitted as a whole from freshly spun yarn. As it is knitted, it becomes the background for the embroidery of individual experiences. The same sweater background is perceived and embroidered by each individual who is living within its influence. Each sees their version of the sequence of events, situations, and circumstances that then makes up a larger and larger group experience as perceived by all from a myriad of perspectives. Perspectives and perception are so important, and coming to a knowing within oneself that each is a point of awareness of divinity. Oh, that just lends so much, makes so much sense now, right? To me, anyway. I cannot see it in any other way. The consensus of the group perspective then becomes the quote mass consciousness experience. Out of that generalized agreement, rules, laws, and regulations govern what is generally accepted behavior. It is this consensus of acceptable group behavior that is so important to the oppressors to influence. The more uniform and regimented the world population is, the easier it is to influence and control through identity in a quote, global perception rather than within cultural, ethnic, or national allegiances. This is why all of that has to be wiped out and done away with. At the same time as the globalists are attempting to standardize the human life experience into a robotic and more easily controllable worldwide situation, the human psyche is longing to individualize. The larger view of this intense struggle between containment and creative expression is beginning to clarify into groups of varying experiences. A large percentage are being slowed and standardized into a hypnotic, zombie like existence. And now understand these sessions were channeled quite some time ago. At least this book was published in 2018. So that's at least at the very least, it would be 6 to 8 years old. But like I said, I suspect these are even older because of the way they came about. Others are caught up in frenzied accomplishment of various extremes of life experiences. Some are lost in various group foci that exploit their fellow humans, etc. Underlying the whole chaotic scene are the mind manipulators that carry out their influencing experiments on their human sacrificial guinea pigs. Boy, you can see that in these moments of now so clearly. Mind programming, medical experiments in the form of prescription drugs and vaccines, illegal hard drugs, food additives, food combinations, unseen vibratory waves from commonly used communication devices, appliances, etc., all influence the human body and the vibratory electrical spark of life that animates it. I saw a health program one time with the Health Ranger and a global healing doc on Gaia TV once, and where they measured the EMFs coming from blenders and hair dryers and microwaves and what that does to the human vibratory field. All of those sorts of things, man. So everything affects the manifested reality in ways that we just aren't aware of, right? These conveniences provide seeming comfort and ease and are thus difficult to think of giving up. It is not the concept of them that is counterproductive to human experience. It is that they have been designed in a planned format that is intended to accomplish very specific negative goals for mind manipulation and control of body functions. In other words, all these beneficial items can be made within a format that would support the life forms on this planet. It is important to understand that these were designed purposefully to slow and confuse the vibratory life force that inhabits all living forms on this planet, with the direct objective of eliminating all but the most resistant, that these may then breed the most adaptive future slave stereotype. Mankind must come to realize that just as they have thought nothing of doing genetic breeding of life forms that they considered, quote, lesser, so also are they considered a lesser life form by those who direct these human lackeys to misuse their fellow humans. Those who allow themselves to be used in this way are given no more and probably even less appreciation than the average human. If these will betray their own kind, then they are truly untrustworthy. And that is not a desirable characteristic for a slave archetype. It is important that as many open minded humans as possible come into the understanding of just what their true status is, insofar as those who consider this planet their colony are concerned. This is not meant to cause any reevaluation of the worth of humanity to a lesser value. Indeed, not. Humanity has running through its vein the blood, the DNA, the potential of all self-aware beings to evolve within the plan of creation. What is important to grasp is that humanity faces the enviable challenge of throwing off the yoke of outside influence and facing up to taking responsibility for for creating its own future. That's a scary that's a scary prospect. Ask somebody who knows. I gave my power away for all those years. Taking responsibility for oneself is a scary thing, no doubt, but it's so worth it. It will be through growing to accept this challenge and creating a way through this experience that the true autonomous qualities that have been deliberately forced into a latent state must now be called forth and brought into focused application. These are not the warlike tendencies of competition that have been cultivated and encouraged, but those of responsibility, courage, and cooperation that will bring about the spiraling of evolvement into galactic citizenship. These will lift the human consciousness out of the seemingly hopeless struggle that surrounds it and allow the planet and those inhabitants who change their perspective to transcend this present situation. Those who identify with this new paradigm of experience will move into it. Those who do not will be allowed more experience until another opportunity is created individually or collectively to choose again. Advancement is available to those that choose carefully and decidedly. Again, each is encouraged to consider thoughtfully. Wow. This one, I tell you, I'm never, ever disappointed at what each one of these communicates in the moments that I'm and how I must be ready for them. And I haven't recorded in a week. So it's very interesting. Until we meet again, I hope you will move towards that which brings you joy in each moment. If you allow yourself a few moments to consider more than one perspective, almost always one can find, even in a difficult situation, that which brings one the higher joy and is the best and highest good for all concerned. Until next time, be well, my friends.